I know, we are here to talk about the Nike Air Jordan 14 Clots or Terracottas, whichever way you're talking them. But first we have to talk about yesterday's shoe right here, the Reebok BB4000 Dime. It's a great looking shoe, but a great looking story, which is all about a work of art that got destroyed, which opened up for me a whole lot of information stuff that I didn't know about this. Hopefully I'm showing it you right here, and didn't know that this was less than 100 years old, didn't know that this piece of art was not famous until it was given its facelift. Whereas today, let's bring up the Terracotta Army from China, which is thousands of years old. It is already famous, and then that inspires today's shoe. So there's a kind of link up to yesterday's Reeboks with the Dime collaboration, whereas yesterday it was all about the inauthenticity of it. Today it's all about the authenticity of the shoe and the authenticity of that tie up to the inspirational piece of art that makes sense and it makes the story of this shoe. And so we're going to take a look at that today. We'll talk about the predecessor, even though it's been more than 2 years since its predecessor was around, and maybe some of the other clots that are kicking around as well, because clots have had a really big tie up for the last 36 months with the Nike line and with the Jordan line as well. So without further ado, let's get to this and have and have a look at the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 14 Clot Terracotta. This is the Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker channel. Tokyo Bada 23 Sneaker channel です。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today, we're looking at the absolutely magnificent Nike Air Jordan 14 Clot Terracotta. And it's all about, like I said earlier, the Terracotta Army. It's simple. Maybe it's simple, maybe it's not. I suppose anything's simple if you know it. And if you don't know it, it's not simple. So I know this because this was the very first video I ever made in this run of, I think we're on day 778 of consecutive days on YouTube. And day one in that almost 800 consecutive days on YouTube was the Air Jordan 13 Clots, which are a beautiful shoe. And it really got me inspired into thinking about doing YouTube videos every single day. It's a beautiful shoe, and it's worth noting two particular things, features on that shoe that are carried forward into today's shoe but flipped up a little bit. Point number one on the 13s is that its really predominant feature is the square panels on the side, which we'll lose. But within those square panels, you've got a couple of dots, sometimes three, sometimes two dots, and some stitching going on there. It's those dots and stitching that are brought forward, and we'll have a look at that in today's shoe. And then the other thing is that the 13s are more orange high and sort of tan low, whereas today's shoe is more orange low and tan high. So they've kind of inverted the color patterning on the shoe, but there's a very clear link up to those 13s from December 2018, and then here we are looking at the 14s in January 2021. So it's over 2 years since the predecessor rocked the sneaker world. A beautiful, beautiful shoe. And then here we are with these 14s. We're going to take a look at the detailing on there. Like I say, it's an authentic inspiration from well over 2,000 years ago. The Terracotta Army was created in China, an authentic piece of art, whereas yesterday's dimes with the Reebok line, not so authentic, less than 100 years old, and not famous, the piece of art, until the uplift that changed its destiny, its history. So without further ado, let's get into this and have a look at these 14s. And what we're talking about, let's go first and foremost straight into that lateral side of the shoe, because that's where all the features are, that's where the story is, the main hits on this shoe that we want to talk about. I'll take us back to a closer look at those 13s before, like I said, with the square panels on the side, the dots and the stitches, and then we'll come forward to today's shoe, and hopefully what you'll be able to see is those dots and stitches repeated, but the square paneling gone, which is kind of a surprise because the square paneling is a major feature of the Terracotta Army. And also in terms of the colorway, the upper on these 14s is very much, now I'm going to call it ceramic. I think what they're doing is if we pan out a little bit from that and have a look at more of the shoe than just the top sort of smooth material part on it, there's basically two colors going on here. One's an orange color and one's a beige color. Now what I'm taking from that, and I might be wrong on this, but I don't think I am, what I'm taking from that is that the orange is clay and the tan or the brown or the beige or whatever you want to call that is ceramic. And by that what I mean is that the orange is what comes out of the earth, the soft, wet, muddy material that then is molded into something put into a kiln, fired and turned into a solid material that, for example, plates are made of, and then that solid material is ceramics. So to me, the story of this shoe is that oranges represent the clay in its natural state, and then the browns or beiges or tans or whatever you want to call that represent it's after it's been manipulated and fired by humans. So that's the story I'm going with. Hopefully I'm right about it. If you know I'm wrong, let us know in the comments down below. If you know I'm right, let us know in the comments down below. But if you have a difference of opinion and you want to check it up with me, definitely tell us in the comments down below as well. So so that's the story that I'm going with the colours on there, and like I say, then the details within that upper are more dots and stitching, but not so much the squares that we saw on the 13s. But staying with that upper, one of the neatest features on the shoe is if you travel back towards the back end, you've got that classic Air Jordan 14 shield that would normally appear and be one of the most sort of vibrant parts of the shoe towards the back end of the lateral. You see it there, but in the case of these guys, they've taken that right back, stripped it right down and put no branding on it at all. I think it's very, very cool. Now I forgot to check this when I was researching this shoe, but I'm almost certain, and we're going to have to hope I'm right in this, there's a picture that will support what I'm talking about here, is if we go up to the top of the tongue, usually on the top of the tongue there's a distinctive, it's almost like a bar that runs across the top of the tongue, and usually it has 6 letters in there, Jordan. But I think in the case of these guys, on, is it the right foot it says Jordan, and the left foot it actually says Clot, which is a very cool play on the branding on this shoe, and that's a neat little place to go, and hopefully I'm right and it's showing up on the green screen behind me here, and then you can come forward from that, and that is replicated on the insole, where you see again, I think it's the right foot insole has the Clot branding and the left foot doesn't. So I always like that in shoes. I like it when they play with one and not the other, because it really makes you think that they have thought about it and put some effort into it and not just churned it out, you know, without really thinking about it. So and a place to look for detailing on that is kind of important is one of the major features of these shoes, and many Clot shoes as well, is that they come with this coin right here. Now you might have heard, or you might have read, that has a Chinese idiom on it about prosperity and happiness, and you'd probably take, you know, whoever wrote that at their word if you don't speak Chinese or Japanese. But here I am in Japan, and the Japanese written language is very similar to the Chinese written language, so it's easier for me to decipher what it says on there. Now I don't know what this says, but what I do know, and you'll be able to see it closely on the green screen here, is it's the same letter 4 times. So it's not the 4-letter idiom about prosperity and it's about and wealth, I think it's the same letter repeated 4 times, but what I don't know is what that letter means. I tried to check it out and try and find it in a Japanese dictionary, and I couldn't, and I don't know how to read Chinese dictionaries, so I couldn't work that one out. But what I do know is it doesn't say the 4 letters, it doesn't say the 4 characters that represent like that prosperity and wealth, I think it was. So and also I have seen coins like this in history, because they used to hang outside the front of banks, but they'd be about this big. You know, if you imagine a storefront, and you have the flat storefront with the door into the bank like this, kind of sticking out perpendicular to the storefront, so that people walking along the sidewalk would be able to look up and see the coins sticking out from the front of the shop face. And they'd be like, oh, there's a bank there, you know, back in the day before neon and bright lights and things like that. So, but I'm not sure, you know, the story that's going on there. I think the places that I've read that this is a Chinese idiom are missing something about it. It might be a tie-up to the Chinese idiom, but it isn't the actual Chinese idiom. And again, if you know more about that, if you know what it says on there, what the characters represent, what it should say, and so on and so forth, please definitely let us know in the comments down below, because that's the kind of information that we're looking for on a shoe like this. It's kind of important to the shoe's story. What isn't so important to the shoe's story, which is maybe a little bit rude, is if you flip them upside down and have a look at the outsole. I was kind of surprised at how simple the outsole was on these guys. I was expecting a little bit more. And there are some pretty cool little hits, like on the midfoot shank. It looks like gold to me, although a very sort of subdued gold, but it fits in with the rest of the colorway of the shoe. But there isn't much else going on down there. I was looking for more Clot branding or something extra special to go in that part of the shoe, but we didn't get to see it this time. But you know, it's their shoe, it's their choice, you know what I'm saying? The last thing I think we'll do is we'll come back out and look at the full shoe in with also its box in the background there, and you'll be able to see the beautiful sort of that clay colour feel to it, the orange more than the tan, which gives you the idea of clay and the feeling of earth and earthy materials. It's a great way to finish it, and the gold hits on there, which, like I said, tie it up to the midfoot shank on the shoe itself. So great looking shoe, great looking story. I love what Clot have done over the last 24, 36 months with Nike in general and Jordan in particular. They really have pulled it, really nice quality, high quality collaborations, which are always happy to see. And these guys coming on February, I think it's the 9th that we're looking at, the 8th, actually the 8th that we're looking at the drop for these guys, so not too far away. This channel's all about upcoming sneaker releases, and there's an upcoming sneaker release for you guys to keep your eyes out on. So, but with that being said, it's time for me to chip off. I've got to get away and do some things, so thank you guys very much for checking out the content. So we've got some great sneakers coming down the line over the next few days, especially we've got some Jordans in there as well. I think there's a Jordan 3 that I'll be interested in having a look at, so keep your eyes out for that. But for now, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out the content. And I'll say what I say at the end of every single video, which is that I do this every single day. And that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.